Normally, if you think about a pinball machine, you think of something this shape. And generally, you'd be right, but have a look at this thing. This is known as a cocktail pinball machine. It's shaped like a table. This is my Allied Leisure Take 5 pinball machine from 1978. And because it's a 70s coin-op game, it's broken. About 3 months ago, one of the flippers started doing something strange, which I could have fixed easily, but I just unplugged it and left it off. Today, I decided to do a video on it. I plug it in, and it doesn't even boot anymore. The tilt light should be off. I should have a flashing game over light, and the score displays are not meant to be blank right now. So, much happiness. I guess we're gonna dive inside already. The playfield lifts up like this. I need to try not to lose the ball. Okay, that's a good enough spot. On the underside of the playfield, we've got a whole bunch of switches, solenoids, which activate the things, and a bunch of light bulbs. Right down in the bottom here, we've got most of our power supply stuff. I've installed an arcade switching power supply to power the logic board because they're less likely to fail and send high voltage through the board. Up here, we've got our sound effects, literally 3 xylophone bars that get hit by solenoids. Make the classic pinball noises. The rubber on this one is a bit stuffed. And over here, known as an MPU board, this thing does everything. It's got the CPU, all of the logic, it's got the output drivers for all the solenoids, all the lamps, it watches all the switches, does everything. And it also does the not working that's currently happening. First up, we need to check our 5-volt output on the power supply, which is 5.39 volts. That's probably okay. Then we want to check our 5-volt at the MPU board, which is 5.04. That's pretty much spot on. Oh dear. Oh no, things are happening. Why are things happening? I'm gonna turn it off. It's just firing random solenoids. Oh wow, those are getting hot. Okay, something's gone bad on here. Things are dying. This big chip up here is getting hot, and that's not a good sign. I think it's time to put it on the bench. I just found a tiny fleck of solder. I wonder if that has anything to do with my problem. It's really, really tiny, but it was bridging 2 of these pins here, which I'm pretty sure are outputs, which I'm pretty sure are controlled by those chips, which I haven't told you about yet. When I first got this machine, it was doing pretty much what it's doing right now, and it was because these 2 white chips were dead. These 3 chips here are custom chips exclusive to Allied Leisure pinball machines. They're notorious for failing, and they were discontinued about 40 years ago. For a while, I actually thought I was never going to get this thing working. But I've got a friend called Alexis who I've known since we were kids, and he's the guy who I normally take things to if I can't fix it. I don't know why I didn't go to him straight away with this thing. I guess it's because I knew which chips were bad and I just couldn't get them. But in conversation one day, I mentioned my problem, and he's like, oh, I reckon I can fix that. So he came up with this board, which made the thing work, and ended up turning into this board, which made the thing work just the same but neater. It plugs in instead of these 3 stupid custom chips and does exactly the same job but uses off-the-shelf parts that you can still get today. He was even nice enough to make it free on GitHub, so if you want to make your own, the plans are all there. Now that I found that fleck of solder, which may have been shorting something out, I need to test these, and the only thing I know of that I've got that uses these is an Atari 2600. So I guess this is going to be our test subject. It's in here. There we go. It's a lot smaller than the case is. Get the feeling this Atari's never been opened before. I have had it for quite a long time, which maybe makes it more surprising that it hasn't been opened before. Oh wow, the chips are already socketed. That's amazing. I can turn off my desoldering station. Before I touch anything, I need to make sure the console still works. And it does, that's good. Can I play a game? Got a sound too. Good. Now I remove the working chip. This is a MOS 6532 Riot chip. That's RAM, I/O, and timer. Then I'll pull one of the ones off Alexis's conversion board, except my puller is not pullering. I need to crunch that down into there. Plug the game in, and hopefully I don't destroy my Atari. Oh, it doesn't work. Okay, so now we go back to the other Riot chip, the one the Atari came with, and make sure that it still works with that one. Oh dear, I may have just killed my Atari with a bad Riot chip. There are only 3 chips that are likely to have died from me plugging in this chip. One is in the cartridge, and the other 2 are the CPU and this custom chip here, which I hope is okay. The cartridge is easy enough to test. We'll just whack another one in there and then just turn it on, and then it's exactly the same. So it's not the cartridge. I'm feeling the CPU is pretty likely. I don't think I've actually got another one, although I could pull apart another Atari 2600. Well, this is getting fun, isn't it? Other games that I had in the other console? Yeah, that one works too. Good. What about this one? If that chip took out the entire Atari 2600 and my freaking crab control cartridge as well, I'm gonna be pretty disappointed. Come on, it was powered on for a moment. The shortest moment. Oh, that's devastating. Aside from the time it takes to fix these cartridges, the screws are under the label, so I can't just take it apart and change the chip that's fried. Annoying. We got combat, we got California games. Try the other console one more time with a known working cartridge. Oh, it's working now. Ah, Amazing. So we killed crab control. I'm not happy. I need my crab control. How am I going to control my crabs? Okay, so to check the other riot, I've got a cartridge which has the label falling off, so I can actually unscrew it and replace the ROM in it if it fries. Does it work at all first? Yes, it does. Second Pinball riot chip going in now. And very quickly, no, it doesn't work. Okay, so I don't want to run it any longer than that because of what happened last time. But we've got 2 dead riot chips. And given what it did to my crab control, I'm worried about the rest of the MPU board now. And here's hoping boxing still works. It does. Thankfully, only 1 casualty. Huh! Crab control came back to life. Well, that's a relief at least. Now, I know I said all of the chips for these kits were still available, and they kind of are, but these 2 chips are still discontinued. It's just that they were used in a lot more things, so you can still find them. However, you do still have to roll the dice on eBay or AliExpress or wherever, and this is how these ones turned up. No static protection at all, just some cling wrap wrapped around the chips. Aside from the lack of proper packaging, the other thing that I'm worried about with these chips is that counterfeit chips are a huge problem when you buy online. You can see all these chips have the same numbers on them, same branding, but if I flip them over, you can tell from the back that all of them are second-hand. These have been remanufactured, and they may not even be the chips that they say they are. I'm not entirely sure how they redo this. I believe they attach new pins to the package somehow, but those shiny solder-covered legs are a sure sign that you've got a remanufactured chip. Original new pins have a dull finish like this one has. Best case scenario here is that they are what they say they are, but they've been remanufactured and sold as something brand new that isn't. Worst case, they're something totally different and they'll destroy what you put them into. Do we have real riot chips? Test 1. We do! That one's a real one. Ah, it's all working. Oh, that audio is awful, and that's how it's supposed to be. That's not a problem with the chip. Chip 2, that one works as well. Chip 3, chip 4, and last one, chip 5. They all work. Isn't it terrible when you're surprised that the thing you bought as new actually works? I've just powered this on without the riots in, just because I want to test every single pin on here to make sure there's no ridiculous high voltages that are just going to blow the crap out of the new ones. And there don't appear to be. Now I've got the new chips in, it's time to try again. Hopefully, all of this lights up and we don't just have a tilt light stuck on. Oh, it didn't work. Why not? I guess we'll keep trying things. Yep, we've still got both the riots, so that's good. We haven't lost anything yet. All right, it's oscilloscope time. I've set this up so that 5 volts is up here somewhere, and then no volts is in the middle here. I've already checked my voltages at the CPU, which is this guy. It's a 6504, which is a cut down version of the 6502, which is just numbers to most people. And I'm now probing the reset pin. What this is supposed to do is when the system is first turned on, as I do now, the purple line should stay at the middle for a moment and then go up to 5 volts. That's so that all the voltages across the board can stabilize before it comes out of reset and lets the thing run. This is not doing that, which means this board isn't running at all. It's just waiting to be woken up. So the first thing we want to do is figure out why the power on reset isn't bringing this board to life, and that's generated up here, which is controlled by all these transistors, which links back past this power loss sensor, which I don't know how that's wired, all the way down to this 555 timer IC down here seems to be where it comes from originally, and that's this guy, which is very rusty. I might actually just change that to start with. It's not really a recommended test, but I think if I apply 5 volt to this transistor, I should be able to get this to manually come out of reset mode, and we might see some flashing on these LEDs. Or we might just see death and fire. Oh, the lights went out. I'm not sure if that's what they're supposed to do when reset turns off. Let's have a look and see if the reset line at the CPU changes. Nope. I've just found an interesting thing. I was trying to pull the reset higher manually, and it should be connected to this pin of this socket over here, which should beep if they were connected together. The socket is connected to it, but not the leg on the chip. Sprayed some cleaner in there. I'm gonna work this in and out a few times and see if that helps. The socket should probably really be replaced, but if I can get away with not doing it, I will. Okay, now we're actually connected to where we're supposed to be connected. At this point, I've got reset working. As you can see, I put it into reset. The line goes flat, and then I take it out of reset, and then we've got address lines going on. I would kind of expect all the address lines to have the same thing on them, but going along them, I get to here, and this one's not good. And then I got nothing on the rest of them. So I'm gonna try changing the CPU and see if it changes anything. And when I said I've got reset working, I meant I've got it bypassed so that it kind of works-ish. Oh look, the light's doing different things now. I wonder if that's it. We've got address lines across the board. All of them are working. What about data lines though? Where are those? There is data there. I think we're ready to try this back in the... No, we're not, because I've still got a broken reset where I have to manually reset it. Okay, let's get back to the reset section. These two little LEDs here are diagnostic LEDs. They tell you what's going on with the board. There's another one up here here for reset, but that one wasn't wired correctly from the factory, so it barely lights up at all. The first time I was looking into this game, I looked up what these did, and it didn't really help me, so just knowing that they have to change to work is all I need. This pad here is connected to the reset section. It's possible that it needs to do something to work, but it isn't responding. It's not sending its signal through. It goes to this resistor, and then other side of this resistor is getting very little in the way of anything going on. Then it connects to this transistor. I don't know why there's 1,000 transistors in the chain on the reset circuit. This one, yeah, sure, it's an input buffer of some sort, but the others up here, there's 4 in a row, and all they seem to do is trigger each other until it gets to this chip here, which is a flip-flop. I will admit that my transistor theory is seriously lacking, but I'm not sure why there are so many seriously straight in a line like that. But the one we're looking at is this guy down here. I can see a little bit of signal on the input, so the output pin over here, I should see something. Oh, all right, that is working. So we move on. Next in line, I believe, is pin 2 on this 555 timer chip. Down, up, and it works. This 555 timer, along with its associated parts, is what sets the time that the board is held into reset mode after the power comes on. The output of it is pin 3, which goes off to those millions of transistors. Let's see what the output of the 555 does. Probably nothing for a couple of seconds, and then it'll go. So I'm touching the contact now. Nothing. So I think our 555's dead as well as the CPU. Look at this mess of crap on the back here. There are a few extra resistors and little patch cables like these red ones that were added by Alexis during his development of the 6532 replacement board, but this big bird nest up here, that's factory. They stuffed up the design of the board and had to seriously redesign it. I've gone through and measured everything in here, and all of it matches the schematic diagram. So that means the board didn't match the schematic diagram. Here's our crusty little 555 timer, which may or may not be dead. I'm hoping it is. Look at the way this was manufactured. They must have made one big long one with 1,000,000 555s in it and then just cut it into bits with a saw. The ends are sawn through. All right, I've got the new 555 in there. It's socketed this time, so I can remove it if it dies again. I can pull it into reset with this pin, and I take it off. It goes out of reset. I think I just fixed the reset circuit with that 555 timer. Amazing. I guess it's time to try it in the machine. I really hope we get a score display and everything. 3, 2, 1. Yes, we've got a score display. Oh, I have no idea, mate. I'm so happy. Now I expect we just have to fix the problem that I had to begin with the flipper. And that problem is this. It's decided to have a machine gun mode. This is the mechanism that makes the flipper work. This cylinder is a solenoid coil, which when energized, pulls this metal lug into itself, and that activates the flipper. That's all there is to it. Except for if you've got a powerful coil like this one, you don't want to keep it energized when it gets to the end of its travel. Otherwise it will just sit there getting hotter and hotter and hotter until things melt and burn out and that sort of stuff. So the way to get around that is to have 2 sets of windings inside this coil. The first coil winding is the powerful one. That does all the heavy lifting right at the beginning. But then when the flipper reaches the end of its stroke, it opens up these contacts here and hands over to a weaker secondary coil, one that won't heat up and burn out, except I suspect this one's heated up and burnt out. So the flipper does its stroke, comes to handing over to the second coil, opens up the contacts, and all that does is turn off the first coil, so the flipper falls back down again, closes the contacts, and then we've turned the first coil back on again, so it wants to pull the flipper up again, and that opens it up and switches it off, and it just does that forever and ever and goes burning out the contacts in here. You can ignore this diode up here. It's not used in this machine. This coil's out of something else. Okay, I'm not sure how well this is going to show up on camera, but the wire here is actually broken. It's gotten hot and burnt through. Just going to peel the paper off because I need to have a look at this coil properly. There are little green spots here and there, so it's a pretty safe bet that this coil has gone short internally and that's what's burnt this wire out. But luckily I've got another one, which was in no way robbed from a machine, which I'm now going to have to order one for. So with that installed, hopefully the whole machine's just going to work. Here's hoping. Yes, I've got 2 working flippers. I love the sound of the chimes on these old machines. Even with that middle one being all jangly, it still sounds great. It's such an iconic sound. Yeah, triple bonus. Now I just got to work up my bonus. Oh. Not too bad, not too bad. Ah, that was bad. Ah, 1 okay credit, 2 terrible ones, and that's game over. And I think that's video over. Thanks for watching. If you want ad-free early access to all my videos, you can follow me on Floatplane for $2.50 a month, and you'll also get a photo of each video game thing that I get. I've been collecting for quite a while, and I keep getting new stuff all the time. Or if you'd just like the photos and to be part of my community, you can also join for $1 a month. The link's in the description. I'll see you there.